Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Laguna Woods Village Performing Arts Center. Before we commence with today's event, please take a moment to look around and locate your nearest emergency exit. We also ask that you take this time to silence any cell phones or personal electronic devices. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, do you still think you can remember the radio? That incredible little magic box that took you away to another time, another place, even another world. Well, if you still think you can, I want you to do something for me. I want you to close your eyes, open your ears, sit back and relax, because oh, well, thank you. Where was I? Oh, because here it comes. Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fella. Hi-yo, Silver. Away!
Late one afternoon, the Lone Ranger's Indian friend Tonto entered Marshal Jack Forbes' office in Copper City, northern Texas.
How, Marshal Forbes?
Hey, who's that? Well, I'll be a two-toed grasshopper. Tonto, so how in the world are you?
Oh, me fine.
And where's the Lone Ranger?
Oh, him in hills north of town.
So, well, I reckon the two of you come to this part of the country to see your old friend Clarabelle Hornblow and Thunder Martin.
No, we not come to see Clarabelle and Thunder this time.
Oh?
We come this way, look for a crook named Shelby.
Shelby? Shelby? I never heard of that critter.
Well, him wanted for murder in Kansas. We trail him long time.
Boy, you must have. If you follow him this far.
We lose trail 2 days ago. Masked man hope find killer in hills. Him send me here to tell you, be on lookout for feller with big scar cross forehead.
Uh-huh. And where'd you lose his trail, Tonto?
On north side of Sunflower River.
And you haven't been able to pick him up since?
No.
Well, if he's the killer, the sooner he's captured, the better.
That right.
I'll tell my deputies to be on lookout for this Shelby fellow. Then I'll ride to the Lone Ranger's camp with you. And all three of us will look for that rat's trail.
That good idea.
Just give me enough time to talk to the boys, and I'll be right with you, Tonto.
Whoa there, whoa! Whoa!
Meanwhile, Thunder Martin drew rein at Clarabelle Hornblow's kitchen door and hurried inside. The ex-mule skinner's face was flushed with excitement.
Say, Clarabelle, Clarabelle, I'm struck it rich. I'm rich.
What'd you say?
I found gold, Clarabelle. My luck's changed. I'm through working for wages. I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Hold on, Thunder. Now take it easy.
It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. When I saw that gold,
Will you quiet down, you mutton-headed idiot?
Huh? What's wrong?
A fella named Shelby came to the door a little while ago, asking for a place to rest and a meal. He lost his horse and his gear crossing Sunflower River.
Where is he?
In the next room, you big jughead. I'll bet he heard every word you said.
Well, doggone, you should have warned me.
I would have if I'd had a chance. Now, let's step outside so we can't be overheard.
Yeah. He won't hear us talking out here.
Now, where'd you find the gold, Thunder?
Down by the creek, about 5 miles from here.
You know, you don't know a doggone thing about prospecting.
Huh?
But if you're right about this, if you really have found gold, you better keep quiet about it.
Don't worry. I'm not going to risk losing the strike to a claim jumper. I'll put my horse in the corral.
Good. I'll go inside and put supper on the table.
When the food was on the table, Thunder roused Shelby. The killer came to the table and wolfed his meal in silence. Then, when Thunder left the house to take care of chores outside and Clarabelle cleared the kitchen table, the killer drew his gun.
Hey, what's the idea?
Don't make a sound or I'll shoot.
Have you gone loco?
Sit down in that chair by the table and be quick about it.
No, but...
Do as you're told. And don't try to call for help, because if Thunder Martin walks in here, I'll shoot him.
Why, you no-good ornery skunk. This is the thanks I get for taking you in and feeding you.
Shut up. Now put your hands behind the chair, and I'll tie them.
No.
Keep quiet. I'm going to gag you with this towel.
Oh, no, you don't.
I told you to shut up. That'll keep you quiet. Now I'll tie your feet. Hold still now. Whether you like it or not, you're here to stay.
Well, the chores are all done, Clarabelle.
Get your hands up, Thunder.
Hey, what's the idea?
Get your hands up or I'll shoot the woman.
All right, just don't hurt Clarabelle.
Leave your hands high till I get your gun.
Well,
That's it.
well, what are you after?
The gold you found today.
Huh?
You're gonna show me where it is.
Then you overheard me when I came into the kitchen, huh?
That's right. I needed a meal, so I decided to wait before pulling a gun.
You'll never get away with this.
If you lead me to the gold, you won't get hurt. If you don't, you'll stop lead. Now get going.
Meanwhile, the Lone Ranger, Tonto, and Marshal Forbes found Shelby's runaway horse quietly nibbling grass a short distance from Sunflower River. After examining the animal's tracks, the masked man realized what had happened. Soon afterwards, they found Shelby's trail heading south on foot. Darkness was falling when they set out to follow it. Some distance away, the manhunters, Thunder Martin, tried desperately to think of a way to escape Shelby. The creek where he had accidentally struck gold was west of the ranch, but Thunder headed east, hoping to meet a rancher or friend who could help him. After nearly 2 hours' travel, Dade exclaimed,
That gold can't be this far from the ranch.
Now, how do you know where it is?
I think you're stalling. And what's worse, maybe trying to lead me to a trap.
You wanted me to lead you to the gold, didn't you?
I know a sure way to find out where it is. We're going back to the ranch.
For what?
You and Clarabelle Hornblow stepped out of the kitchen so you could tell her more about the gold without being overheard. You must have told her where you found it.
No. Clarabelle doesn't know where it is.
I think she does. She'll talk, too, to save your hide. Turn that critter around. We're going back to the house.
Come on, get around, get around. Get around.
Come on, get around, get.
In the ranch house, Clarabelle had been struggling with the ropes that held her. By rocking her chair back and forth, she managed to move it close to the stove. Twice she had burned her wrist painfully against the hot metal, but at last the singed rope broke as she strained against it. When she finally got her hands free, she took the gag out of her mouth.
Now, if I can untie my feet.
As soon as her feet were free, she hurried to the corral. Her favorite horse was gone.
Well, that no-good thieving pokehead must have it.
Clarabelle quickly saddled another horse.
Easy, steady. The sooner I get to Marshal Forbes, the better. Get up there.
Clarabelle traveled cross-country to save time and more than once regretted being without her palomino.
This critter's as skittish as a 2-week-old calf. Get up there.
As she neared the main trail, it was necessary to descend a steep slope.
Easy there, easy.
The sleek black horse balked.
Come on, get up there.
Clarabelle coaxed, cajoled, and scolded. Finally, the horse started downhill. Then, without warning, the animal lost its footing.
Oh, mercy. Oh, help.
Thrown from her saddle, Clarabelle pitched headlong to the bottom of a rocky slope, where she struck her head against a small boulder and lay still.
Whoa there.
A short distance away, the Lone Ranger signaled a halt and spoke to Marshal Jack Forbes and Tonto.
Jack, did you hear someone call for help?
Sure, I thought I did.
Me hear it. It sound like woman.
Come on, we'll investigate. Come on, Silver.
A few minutes later, the Lone Ranger, Tonto, and the Marshal approached the still figure lying at the bottom of the slope.
Whoa there, easy, fella.
Easy.
Whoa.
Why, it's Clarabelle.
She's lying unconscious. Looked like she took a header down the slope.
She must have struck her head when she fell.
Bad cut on forehead.
The masked man reached for Clarabelle's wrist to take her pulse. He saw the burn she had suffered, freeing herself from the ropes.
Sure, how bad is she hurt, mister?
I don't know, Marshal. Her fists have been burned. It looks as though they've been tied.
Well, she could have fractured her skull.
I don't think so, but she may have suffered a concussion.
Me bandage cut on head.
Good, Tonto. Manage your wrist, too.
Me fix 'em.
I don't savvy what she's doing out here at this hour of the night, traveling cross country over places she ought to have more sense to tackle. She's not as young as she used to be.
Kimosabi. Maybe it better a doctor come. Him know how bad Clarabelle hurt.
I think you're right, Tonto.
Sure, the Rafter H isn't far from here. I'll go there and ask Thunder Martin to bring the wagon so she can be moved.
Good idea, Jack.
Whoa, easy there. Whoa, what about the doctor?
Tonto will ride to town to the doctor's.
I'll be back soon with Thunder. Get up now. Get up. Get up.
Me hope Clarabelle not hurt bad.
I'll stay here with you till you return, Tonto.
That good. Get 'em up, scout.
While Tonto rode toward town and Marshal Jack Forbes toward the Rafter H, Thunder Martin and Shelby approached the ranch from the opposite direction. The scar-faced killer kept Thunder covered and watched him closely.
Whoa there, whoa, easy, fella,
Oh,
easy.
easy.
They dismounted at the back door and entered the kitchen.
Inside. Don't try a fast move, Thunder.
Don't worry. Hey, Clarabelle's gone.
Gone?
She got away.
Well, here are the ropes I tied her with. Yeah. Somehow she managed to burn them off.
I bet she's gone for help. That means your scheme to get my gold won't work. you're going to be in real trouble.
I hear a rider.
Yeah, heading this way. I told you Clarabelle went for help. Maybe that's Marshal Forbes coming to get you.
I ain't caught yet.
As Dade spoke, he swung his gun barrel to the side of Thunder Martin's head. The big man slumped to the floor, unconscious.
I can't watch you and that rider too, so I'll tie your feet and gag you. That way you'll not make any trouble.
Shelby worked fast. He tied him down, gagged Thunder, and dragged him into the next room seconds before Marshal Forbes took rein in the moonlit yard. From a place near the open door, Dade watched the lawman dismount. Suddenly, the moonlight glinted on the star pinned to the marshal's vest. Thinking Clarabelle had told the law about him, the killer cursed softly. And as the marshal hurried to the kitchen door, he fired his gun.
Oh!
At the bottom of the rocky slope where the Lone Ranger waited with Clarabelle Hornblow, the buxom ranch owner groaned softly.
Oh.
Take it easy, Clarabelle.
What? Where am I?
We found you here just a short time ago.
What? Mister, is it really you?
Yes, it's me, Clarabelle.
Why, I thought I was dreaming.
No, Tonto, Marshal Forbes, and I found you. What happened to your wrist there?
Oh, I burned them trying to get the ropes off. Well, you sure turned up at the right time, mister. Thunder and I need your help real bad.
Who tied you?
A scar-faced critter who came to my place afoot. He was asking for a meal. I don't want to turn a fellow away who's down on his luck, so...
Hold it. A scar-faced man? Is the scar across his forehead?
Say, how'd you know?
He's wanted for murder.
What? Oh, great sakes alive.
Tonto and I have been following him for quite some time now.
He's at my place now, or somewhere around the place. He captured Thunder and me, and if he's a killer, oh, poor Thunder.
Tell me, did he rob you?
He wants to steal Thunder's gold claim. Mister, you gotta do something. Please, please save my poor Thunder, please.
Marshal Forbes is on his way to their ranch right now.
Oh, this critter's smart. He might be able to fool the marshal, fool him long enough to get the drop on him, and then kill him.
Clarabelle, I don't want to leave you. Tonto went to town to get the doctor
I'm not feeling first rate, but I'll be a whole lot better if I know you're on your way to the ranch to help Thunder. I'll be all right here.
But do you have a gun?
No, mister.
I have a spare one here in my saddlebag. I'll leave it with you for protection.
And then you'll go to the ranch?
Yes. Tonto will return with the doctor soon.
By the time the Lone Ranger reached the Rafter H, Marshal Forbes had managed to free Thunder Martin. The big mule skinner was bandaging the lawman's wound when the masked man dismounted at the back door. As briefly as possible, Thunder explained what happened.
I'd planned to go after that rattler as soon as I finish fixing the marshal's wound, mister.
Well, that Shelby gunned me and rode away from here as if the devil himself were after him.
He has good reason to hurry away. He'll hang if he's caught.
He's trying to reach the border.
I'll go after him.
He's riding Clarabelle's Palomino. Oh. There, that takes care of your wound, Marshal. I'll go with the Lone Ranger.
I don't think he'll need help, but Clarabelle does, Thunder. She's been hurt. She was thrown from the horse. She will have to take the wagon to the bottom of Dead Man's Slope to get her.
Torn between his loyalty to Clarabelle and his desire to see Dade Shelby captured, Thunder reluctantly agreed to harness a team to a buckboard. A few minutes later, he and the wounded lawman left the ranch. Miles to the south of the ranch, the Lone Ranger's great white horse raced across the fields after Shelby. The outlaw's trail was clear and easy to follow in the brilliant moonlight.
Hi-yo, Silver!
The powerful stallion responded with a sustained burst of speed, maintaining a speed that brought him closer and closer to the freeing killer. Presently, the masked man saw Dade ahead. The mighty Silver began to close the gap, separating them. Dade heard the thundering hoofbeats and turned to look over his shoulder.
You're finished, Dade.
Dade recognized the masked man as the Lone Ranger. In a sudden panic, he snatched his gun from his holster.
Turn back or I'll kill you.
I followed you all the way from Kansas, Keller.
You asked for it.
The frightened killer fired hastily. His shot was wide.
I'll get you.
Not unless you take aim.
The Lone Ranger counted the shots. When the killer's gun was empty, he brought the racing Silver close to the Palomino. Then he grabbed Shelby. Both men hit the ground as Silver and the well-trained Palomino slowed to a halt. The Lone Ranger leaped to his feet.
On your feet, Dade.
I'm unarmed. I'm out of ammunition.
I have a new score to settle with you, Keller.
What are you talking about?
Clarabelle Hornblow and Thunder Martin are friends of mine.
Friends?
Yes, that's right. Clarabelle's wrists were burned. She suffered a fall.
Now, wait a minute, mister. I didn't know anything about that.
You're in for a beating.
No.
The killer's mouth gaped. He stepped back as the Lone Ranger stepped forward. His fist hit the point of Dade's chin.
That's the beginning. A minute ago, you were going to kill me.
I've got no gun.
Use your fists.
Forced to fight, Dade swung. The killer swung. The blow missed the masked man and struck his shoulder. Then the killer threw a jab that hit its mark. Then, before he knew what happened, the Lone Ranger drilled a fist into his stomach. As Dade slumped forward, another blow hooked his chin. The killer went down.
Now, while you're unconscious, I'll tie your hands and make sure you're disarmed. Then we're going back to the Rafter H.
It was nearly daybreak when the Lone Ranger reached the ranch with his prisoner. Doc Simpson was there with Clarabelle, Marshal Forbes, Thunder Martin, and Tonto. The masked man offered to help the wounded lawman take Dade to jail.
What I sure can use the help, mister. Doc's going with me. If you'll travel as far as the edge of town with us.
I'll be glad to, Marshal. Clarabelle, I'm sorry you had all this trouble. I hope you'll soon be well enough to bake some of those fine apple pies you always serve to Tonto and me.
Say, now that rattler's been caught, mister, I feel good enough to start a couple of pies right now. They'll be ready by the time you get back from town.
All right, I'll hurry back. See you later, Tonto.
Me wait here, Kimosabi.
All right. Get going, Dade.
I'm going.
I hope they hang that skog.
Clarabelle say him try to steal gold from you.
That's right, Tonto. I struck it rich. Say, I have a little gift for you and the Lone Ranger.
Oh, what that?
I want you two to have the first of the gold that I took from my claim. I got some right here in my pocket. I didn't show it to Clarabelle because I wanted to give it to you and the masked man.
That plenty nice, Thunder.
Well, here you are. This is for you and the others for our masked friend.
You think this gold?
Of course it's gold. Look at the color of it.
No, this not gold.
Huh?
Me see this stuff many times. Lone Ranger say it's iron or copper. Pyrites.
Pyrites?
Fool's gold, Thunder.
Thunderation,
Me sorry, Thunder. You maybe not want to take my word for it.
Why? You know a doggone sight more about it than he does, Tonto.
Fool's gold? Ah, no. Well, I
Oh,
can't.
don't feel so bad, Thunder. That killer was a bigger fool about it than you were.
Huh?
He was planning to jump a worthless claim, and all he got for his trouble was a trip to the gallows, thanks to the Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
The Lone Ranger, a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, is produced by the Old Pros and directed by Carol Shallon. The part of the Lone Ranger was played by Al Hicks. Others in tonight's cast were Larry Irion, George Zilligan, Alan Williams, Tony Barr, and Ann Gunther. This is your announcer, John Edmiston. Ladies and gentlemen, now for your listening pleasure, Radio KLWV proudly presents those sirens of song, that trio of talent, oh, you get it, the Hot Flashes, singing a medley of songs from your hit parade. Here's Estelle, Madeline, and Barbara. Take it away, girls.
This thing on.
Yes, it's on, honey.
And now we're going to slow it down a little bit for the #1 song on the hit parade, and we're going to do it Acapulco.
I think she's trying to say a cappella. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease.
Gonna take a sentimental journey
To renew old memories. Got my bag, I got my reservation. Spent each time I could afford. like a child in wild anticipation. Long to hear that all aboard. 7, that's the time we leave at 7. I'll be waiting up at heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. I never thought my heart could be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Gonna take a sentimental journey, sentimental journey home, sentimental journey home.
Thank you. Well, we felt we'd pick up the pace a little bit and do a little boogie woogie. And if you know the words, please join along. But you're going to have coffee because it's really fast.
Yeah,
Really fast.
okay.
Take it away.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft, but then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow his bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a tootly attitude, he blows an 8 to the bar. In boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless the basic guitar is playing with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he plays boogie woogie bugle, he is busy as a buzzing bee. And when he plays the company jump 8 to the bar, he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a tootly attitude, he blows an 8 to the bar. He can't blow a note unless the basic guitar is playing with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He puts the boys to sleep with boogie every night and wakes them up the same way in the early bride. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how he plays when someone gives him a beat. He really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Da 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 yeah. Da 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 da. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Da da.
All right.
It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, transcribed. By his own admission, Principal Osgood Conklin's astute leadership has molded Madison High into a streamlined machine which operates with the facile precision of a new car. But to our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison, it's the same old jalopy.
That's true. Mr. Conklin is the same old flat tire, and Mr. Boynton still needs his battery charged. But apropos astute leadership, last Tuesday we solemnly and traditionally observed the birthday of Madison's beloved founder and first principal, Yodar Crisp, the only Madison High principal ever to be awarded a distinguished award, service plaque by the Board of Education. Well, of course, the board has ignored Mr. Conklin for these many years, and I was not prepared for the news with which my landlady, Mrs. Davis, pelted me at breakfast.
Connie, I was just coming out of the market a few minutes ago when I saw Osgood Conklin drive up in his car. He was grinning from ear to ear.
What happened? Did he run over a teacher?
No, dear. Something wonderful happened to him.
He caught pneumonia.
Oh, wits, I'm serious, Connie. Last night, he received a telegram from Mr. Stone, the head of the board, informing him they decided to award him a plaque for distinguished service to Madison High.
You're kidding.
No, it's true, and he was proud. Why, when he showed me the telegram, he just puffed all up.
Fine. Now it'll blend neatly with the rest of his anatomy. How come you did your shopping so early this morning, Mrs. Davis?
Well, I wanted to pick up some groceries for my sister Angela. A dreadful thing happened to her at the drugstore yesterday, poor thing. Connie, you know, Angela is the absent-minded one in our family.
What happened to her?
What happened to who, dear?
You started to tell me what happened at the drugstore to your sister Angela. She's the absent-minded one in your family.
She certainly is. Well, I'll just get these dishes cleaned up.
Mrs. Davis, something dreadful happened at the drugstore.
When, Connie?
Oh, in the spring of '48. Now, what happened to Angela?
Oh, her. She bumped her head on the pinball machine, and the blow caused amnesia.
Amnesia?
Couldn't even remember her name. Well, when the druggist sent for the police, Angela became so hysterical, she called him some awful names. But realizing that she had amnesia, Connie, he forgave her for that, of course.
Well, that's fine, but...
Anyway, but when her mind snapped back to normal, she felt terribly embarrassed. You know what a shy, sensitive, sweet old lady Angela is.
Yes, I do. But what caused your mind to snap back to normal?
Well, she bumped her head again, getting into the patrol wagon. That second blow on the head cures amnesia, you know.
I'm sorry I asked.
Oh, that's probably Walter Denton to drive you to school. I'll go whip him up some breakfast, dear.
All right, Mrs. Davis. Come on in, Walter.
Greetings, O Queen of Madison faculty. I bow to the teacher for whom I have naught but the highest regard.
And I bow to the student for whom I have naught but the lowest marks. Sit down, Walter. Mrs. Davis is getting your breakfast.
Ah, splendid, Miss Brooks. I happened to pass Mr. Conklin's house last night. Well, I didn't actually pass it. I dallied there just long enough to let the air out of his tires.
Walter, how could you?
Oh, it's easy. You just press the little valve down. Call it retribution, Miss Brooks. Yesterday, I accidentally broke a window in Mr. Conklin's office, and it made him so mad he saddled me with a whole week's detention. So I decided to take out its value in trade, sorta, by playing a series of innocent little pranks on the old boy that are guaranteed to make his life utterly miserable.
I'm afraid there's nothing you can do to pull Mr. Conklin out of the happy clouds today, Walter. Last night, he received a telegram from Mr. Stone informing him that the board has decided to award him a plaque for distinguished service.
Oh, Mr. Stone didn't send that telegram.
He didn't?
Of course not. I did.
You did?
Yeah, I consider that little beauty my prize prank, Miss Brooks. I'm setting him up for an awful letdown, comprenez-vous? Methinks all day he'll be madly awaiting that silly plaque, and when he doesn't get it, he'll belly drop.
Now, you've gone too far, Walter. When Mr. Conklin discovers what you've done, it's my guess you'll be expelled from school.
So how's he going to find out?
Well, every criminal overlooks one little detail, Walter. And if you're no exception, Mr. Conklin fails to receive this silly plaque, it's only natural he'll investigate. First of all, he'll call the telegraph office, and the whole truth will come out.
Holy cow, I've created a Frankenstein. Gosh, if I should be expelled, what'll I say to my pop? Oh, you gotta help me, Miss Brooks. You wouldn't want to see me get the old heave-ho, would you?
No, I wouldn't, Walter, but my sympathies are also with poor Mr. Conklin in this matter. When I think of his foolish dream blowing up in his silly face, his face, well, it's positively cruel.
Hold it a second, Miss Brooks. Hold it. I got the old bean working. So I created a Frankenstein. Okay, so now I've created a little scheme which, with your help, will slay the monster in its lair.
What's the layout, Louis?
Before school this morning, you will drop into Mr. Conklin's office and subtly remind him of the case of the former Madison principal, Mr. Hargrove, who modestly declined the plaque from the board. Now, they deemed his gesture so noble that 1 year later they gave Mr. Hargrove not a little plaque, but a statue of himself, which is now ensconced in our auditorium.
In other words, you want me to convince Mr. Conklin that if he should decline the plaque, he'll set himself up in line for a statue?
Exactly.
Oh, but Walter, he'll never get the statue.
No, but he can dream, can he?
Walter, don't you realize that if I should stoop to such a deception, I'd be a traitor, not only to Mr. Conklin, but to the school as well.
So you won't cooperate, huh? Okay, I thought you were a friend, that's all. It's a desperate scheme, sure, but it's a desperate situation. You have your own problems, I guess. What happens to me doesn't really matter.
Oh, now, please, no tears.
No, I forgive you, Miss Brooks. If you want to let poor Mr. Conklin suffer to the point where my father will beat the daylights out of me, that's perfectly okay. I'll be expelled. Okay, so what? You just can't help me.
Oh, now, please, Walter.
After all, you can't be a traitor.
Oh, who can't? Dry your eyes and call me Benedict.
Morning, Harriet.
Oh, hi, Walter. Say, wasn't that Miss Brooks you just dropped off in front of school?
Oh, yeah, she was in a hurry to get to your father's office.
Oh, well, she'll certainly find him in a wonderful mood. Daddy got a telegram last night, Walter, and you'll never guess what it said.
Hey, want a bet?
It was from Mr. Stone. The board has decided to give Daddy a plaque for distinguished service.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Walter, look who's pulling up.
Oh, good morning, Denton.
Mr. Stone? Are you going to see Mr. Conklin, sir?
No time for that now. Just stop by to say hello. And how are you, Harriet?
Oh, I'm simply thrilled, Mr. Stone. Last night when Daddy received your telegram...
Harriet!
Telegram? For me? A telegram? Oh, well, perhaps my secretary sent it off without my knowledge after our meeting yesterday afternoon. It wasn't until 5 o'clock that we arrived at the decision.
The decision, Mr. Stone?
Yes. The board has decided to give Mr. Conklin a plaque for distinguished service.
Yikes!
Well, I'm glad you opened my eyes, Miss Brooks. If Mr. Stone thinks he can brush me off with a silly plaque, he's sadly mistaken. A statue, that's what I deserve.
Oh, please, Mr. Conklin. I didn't mean to upset you.
Well, I'm grateful to you, my dear. Oh, what a fool I've been. To think that I've been sitting here in sheer ecstasy, mentally savoring that putrid plaque. I shall decline the plaque, of course, modestly and in a letter as you have suggested. I'll get my personal stationery from my inner office, Miss Brooks. Excuse me one moment.
Take your time, Mr. Conklin.
Miss Brooks, I gotta talk to you.
What is it, Walter?
Belly drop again. Everything I said in that phony telegram turned out to be true.
What?
I just saw Mr. Stone, and he told me the board has decided to give Mr. Conklin a plaque.
But I've already talked Mr. Conklin into declining it.
Well, then you've got to reverse course and talk him into accepting it. I'll wait out in the hall for you. Miss Brooks, good luck.
Good luck. Oh, great.
Did I hear someone in here, Miss Brooks?
Oh, you couldn't have. You're smiling, sir. No, sir, if you heard the door slamming, it was just the wind. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Hold on. You know, I was just thinking. I've given all might to this school, 5 years of faithful service. Mr. Hargrove served less than half that time, and for that he got a statue.
Yes, and what an ugly monstrosity it is. It's no wonder the students park their messy chewing gum all over him. I think you might be happier with a plaque after all, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, nonsense. I shall write a letter of declination as per your original suggestion, Miss Brooks. In it, I shall request a reply. You will wait for it.
For a reply?
Signed and sealed by Mr. Stone himself.
But, sir, why complicate things?
I have spoken. Go on, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, Mr. Conklin. Well, Walter, it seems congratulations are in order.
Congratulations? What do you mean, Miss Brooks?
Remember that Frankenstein you created? He just had a baby. Well, there I was, Connie Brooks, bride of Frankenstein, star of Walter Denton's Pulitzer Prize-winning scheme entitled, I Gave You the Bag, Miss Brooks, Now Hold It. As I was about to leave my classroom at noon and head for Mr. Conklin's office, something entitled, That's What I Want for Christmas came in.
Hi, Miss Brooks.
Hello, Mr. Boynton.
Are you busy?
No, what's your best offer?
Offer?
Oh, skip it, Mr. Boynton. If you'll excuse me, I'll just run over to Mr. Conklin's office. Walter Denton is in trouble up to my neck.
Yes, I know. Walter confessed the entire story to me, hoping that I could come up with a solution. But I'm afraid that's not up to me, Miss Brooks. You're carrying the ball.
It's not a ball. It's a bomb. Oh, let's bounce it over to Mr. Conklin's office together, shall we?
I'd be happy to tag along, if you don't mind. Say, I met Mrs. Davis as she was heading for the school cafeteria. I promised to join her for lunch, in fact.
Mrs. Davis is in the cafeteria?
Well, yes. She said she just didn't feel like dining at home alone. When Mr. Conklin lets you go, Miss Brooks, do you think you might join us?
I don't know. I may join the Foreign Legion instead. I saw Mr. Conklin briefly at 11 o'clock. He was practically throwing a fit because Mr. Hargrove received a statue from the board. Ingrates, he called them, particularly Mr. Stone. Really, I've never seen him so furious.
Well, that was at 11 o'clock, Miss Brooks. Maybe he's calmed down a little by now.
Well, here's his office. I'll soon find out.
Come in if you dare.
Yes, he has calmed down a little. Sorry, Mr. Boynton. Before you heave that inkwell, please observe that I entered under a flag of truce.
Oh, let's dispense with the levity, shall we, Miss Brooks? Instead of writing to Mr. Stone, I have decided to have a little chat with him. It's clear to me now that in view of my outstanding record, the board would have given me a statue long ago if Mr. Stone had not been working insidiously against me.
Oh, you mustn't jump to conclusions, Mr. Conklin. After all, Mr. Stone is your superior, sir. And if you should flare up in his presence...
Oh, well, I see your point. Yes, you're perfectly right. Self-control, that's the ticket. Osgood Conklin speaking.
Hello, Osgood. This is Mr. Stone.
Mr. Stone, eh?
I've instructed a gentleman in our office to deliver your plaque, just as I said.
Oh, pipe down, you ingrate.
Mr. Conklin.
What's that, Osgood? I said, this is Mr. Stone.
Mr. Stone, Mr. Stone, Mr. Stone. I have to call you Mr. Stone. I'll bet you let Mr. Hargrove call you Charlie. Rank discrimination, that's what it is. I've had just about enough of you. Goodbye, you fathead. Well, I guess I told him off, Miss Brooks. There's absolutely nothing he can do about it except to fire me. If he thinks I'm going to fire me? I have a wife and a child. Look what you made me do.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Oh, I was perfectly content with my little plaque until you came in and steamed me up. Oh, now Mr. Stone will have my job. My little family will starve. Oh, holy Toledo. Look out that window. That man coming up the walk with the briefcase. The man Mr. Stone sent over with my plaque. Who wants a plaque or a statue? All I want is my job. Oh, you made me. Now, get me out of this. I called Mr. Stone a fathead. Oh.
It's possible he'll forgive you for that, sir. You know, Mrs. Davis's sister, Angela, she called the druggist some terrible names, and he forgave her. Come to think of it, though, she had amnesia at the time.
Amnesia? That's it. I didn't know what I was saying. I wasn't in my right mind.
Oh, now, please, Mr. Conklin.
It's the only way out.
Hello, my name's Turner. Mr. Conklin, I presume?
Mr. Conklin? Who's Mr. Conklin?
Well, I assume...
Oh, run along, boy. I've got amnesia.
Amnesia?
Tell him, lady.
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner, I'm Miss Brooks.
Brooks? Who's Brooks?
I've been taking care of Mr. Conklin here. The amnesia came on suddenly. It was an accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry? Who's sorry?
Excuse me, folks. Will you have lunch with me, Daddy?
Daddy? Daddy? Who's Daddy?
Daddy?
Oh, don't call me Daddy. I never saw you before in my life.
But Daddy?
Daddy? Who's Daddy?
Don't look at me. I'm not Daddy.
What's wrong with Daddy, Miss Brooks?
Brooks? Who's Miss Brooks? Oh, I am. Harriet, your daddy's received a blow on the head.
Yes, child, he has amnesia.
Amnesia?
Amnesia? Who's amnesia?
If you'll allow me to use the phone, Miss Brooks, I'll call the authorities.
They've already been informed. They're picking Daddy up in an hour.
Oh, no!
Harriet, later on I'll explain how everything happened. Now you go have lunch and don't worry.
No, all right, Miss Brooks. Goodbye, Daddy. Oh, poor Daddy.
You can just leave the plaque here, Mr. Turner. You needn't take it back to the board.
I don't know anything about any board. I'm just here to sell a few brushes.
Brushes? Oh, get out, you nincompoop.
This guy's wacky, all right. You bet I'll get out.
Well, sorry, Mr. Conklin. I think I'll toddle off to lunch now.
Oh, not so fast. Now, to be perfectly candid with you, Miss Brooks, I wasn't too fond of that amnesia bit. Didn't sound convincing to me.
Nor to me.
Well, then I'd advise you to get the old brain working on a totally different scheme to clear me with Mr. Stone. Something clever.
But sir...
Think. Dream up some nice, dirty, juicy plot. Remember, I hold you responsible for my present plight. So if I'm booted out of the school, I'll take you with me.
Ooh, that's the dirtiest, juiciest plot I ever heard.
He didn't even recognized me, his own daughter.
My goodness.
Oh, you poor kid.
Don't cry, Harriet.
It was a blow on the head. Miss Brooks said the authorities are going to pick him up in an hour. They're going to put Daddy away. Oh, it'll not only ruin his life, but mine and my mother's as well.
Gosh, if there were anything we could possibly do to restore his memory, you could certainly depend on us, Harriet. But we're powerless.
Wait, I have it. Why not give Mr. Conklin another blow to the head? That's what cured my sister Angela's amnesia.
Say, I've heard about that in medical books, Harriet. If a person is stricken with amnesia due to a blow on the head, a second blow does sometimes restore his memory.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait an hour. It's instantaneous as soon as he gets whacked.
It's particularly effective if the blow is delivered by surprise.
Oh, but I wouldn't want anyone to hit Daddy.
It's a blow that may mean the happiness of your entire family, child. Now you must be brave. Would you like to give it to him with my cane, Mr. Boynton? It has a mahogany handle.
You'd better leave me out of it, Mrs. Davis. I'm too strong for the job. Let Walter do it.
No, not me. It's impolite for a student to belt one's own principal.
It doesn't have to be impolite, Walter. When Mr. Conklin opens the door, just say, "Forgive me, sir," and belt him.
Oh, no! Oh!
Please, Harriet, if it's one thing that breaks me up, it's the crying of a female.
Oh, I'm the same way. It just tears the heart out of me.
Oh, you haven't the courage to help poor Daddy. Neither one of you.
Yeah, well, if you folks will excuse me, I want to go upstairs and kind of think a little.
Guess I'll take a stroll over to the gym and maybe think a little. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So long.
Men, you just can't depend on them. Well, you just dry your tears, Harriet. I'll think of something. Now, let me think.
Think, Miss Brooks.
I'm trying to, sir. How's this? You go home and I'll wait here in your office. Now, when Mr. Stone arrives, I'll tell him you haven't been in all day, and that the person who called him those nasty names on the phone must have been a prankster imitating your voice.
Oh, what an idea. I wasn't even here. An imposter impersonating me. Splendid, splendid. I'll get out of here before... Oh, look, the window. Mr. Stone's coming up the walk. Holy cow, if I try to make a run for it now, he'd see me in the hall. I can't go out the door, can't go out the window. What'll I do?
Well, it's a little early for the chimney, Santa. You're trapped.
My family's at stake. He mustn't see me here. Wait, I've got it. A daring scheme.
Oh, no more schemes, please.
He won't see me. He can't see me. Not if I render him unconscious with a quick, painless whack on the noggin.
What, slug the head of the board?
The moment he opens that door...
Oh, you've lost all sense of reason, Mr. Conklin, when one's hysteria carries him to the point of...
Stand back and be quiet. Shh! One quick blow and it's all over.
Osgood, what's the meaning of...
Oh, you knocked him out cold. Oh, I've got to revive him. Wake up, sir. Wake up, Mr. Conklin. Wake up. Stand back, Mr. Stone. Maybe if I slap him in the face a bit. Mr. Conklin. Mr. Conklin.
Why, that maniac was throwing an uppercut at me. I had to defend myself. Oh, he seems to be regaining consciousness.
What happened?
One quick blow and it was all over, Mr. Conklin.
On your feet. You got some tall explaining to do, Osgood.
Osgood? Who's Osgood? Oh, Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone, I was hoping you'd drop in, sir. How I missed you.
He didn't miss you, Daddy.
Oh, I seem to be missing a tooth.
Osgood, why do you take a swing at me as I entered this office?
Me, sir, you're mistaken, Mr. Stone. May I be struck by lightning if I... It's the door, I'll get it.
Forgive me, sir.
Oh, no. Oh, wake up, Mr. Conklin, wake up. Please, sir.
Denton, are you in the habit of knocking out your principal?
No, sir. This is my lucky day. What?
Oh, what happened?
You were struck by 16-year-old lightning.
Good heavens. I seem to be missing...
Another blow, another tooth. That's life, Mr. Conklin.
What in the world is going on here?
Oh, there's the door. I'll get it.
Forgive me, Osgood.
Mrs. Davis, you knocked him out.
See, it has a mahogany handle.
Oh, wake up, Mr. Conklin. Wake up, sir.
Oh, what happened?
You've lost 4 teeth now, sir. Would you like to try for 8?
I demand an explanation. Osgood!
I can't talk now. I'm a sick man. I'm very weak. Goodbye, all. I'm going home.
Oh, forgive me, sir.
Wake up, Mr. Boynton. Wake up.
Well, at least I got in one good lick.
Oh, Miss Brooks, what happened?
Don't look now, Mr. Boynton. But all you want for Christmas is your 2 front teeth.
Our Miss Brooks, transcribed, is produced by Cheryl Stritch, written by Joe Quillen, music by Wilbur Hatch, and directed and starring Karen Elliott Taylor. Mr. Conklin was played by Louis Marcus. Others in tonight's cast were Erwin Rosenfeld, Eli Price, Artie Rosenstein, David Deering, Sandy O'Connor, and Chris Mack. This is John Edmiston inviting you to be with us again next Sunday at this time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. And please feel free to check out the wine bar.
Las 99.
Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Flakes, bring you Lux Radio Theater, originally starring Betty Davis, George Sanders, Ann Baxter, and Gary Merrill. in All About Eve. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous director, Mr. John Edmondson.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. While I was directing plays on the New York stage, I had a first-hand opportunity to watch the frantic struggle of young actresses to attain stardom in the theater. But none that I knew, at least, used the tactics of the young woman in our play tonight, All About Eve. I first read of Eve's unorthodox behavior in a magazine story by Mary Orr entitled The Wisdom of Eve, and I was delighted to see 20th Century Fox turn it into the Academy Award-winning picture of 1950. Now, I'm sure if we really did know all about Eve, we'd discover Lux Flakes in her household. You know, Lux Flakes are a must for all discriminating women who demand gentle, safer washing care. Now, All About Eve, directed by Chris Mack and starring Karen Elliott Taylor as Margot, Kate Jacobs as Eve, Carol Shallon as Karen, Bill Reed as Addison DeWitt, Louis Marcus as Bill, and David Deering as Lloyd, with Cheryl Stritch as Birdie and Miss Caswell. To those in the New York theater, no other tribute, critical acclaim, or glorification can approach the heights of recognition represented in the Sarah Siddons Award for Distinguished Achievement. A moment ago, this most cherished honor came to a young actress named Eve Harrington. Among the many eminent personalities present is the noted critic Addison DeWitt.
Yes, this is Eve's hour. Beautiful, radiant, poised. She's about to make her speech of acceptance. The hall rings with applause and bravos. Everyone is looking at Eve. All except for Karen Richards. Karen's made a little pile of crumbs on her table. She's patting it with a spoon, staring at it absently. I wonder what Karen Richards is thinking about.
Eve Harrington. It seems a lifetime ago, that rainy night in October. I hurried down the alley to the stage door. But where was she? Strange, I'd become so accustomed to seeing her here night after night, I found myself looking for a girl that I'd never spoken to, wondering where she might be.
Mrs. Richards.
Oh, there you are. Well, it seemed odd suddenly you not being here. After all, 6 nights a week, watching Margot Channing enter and leave a theater.
Oh, I hope you don't mind my not speaking to you. It took every bit of courage I could raise.
What, to speak to a playwright's wife? I'm the lowest form of celebrity.
No, you're Margot Channing's best friend. You and your husband are always with her.
Tell me, what do you do in between the time Margot enters and leaves the theater? Just huddle and wait?
Oh, no, I see the play.
See the play? You mean you've seen every performance?
Yes.
Well, aside from everything else, don't you find it expensive?
Oh, standing room doesn't cost much. I manage.
Well, you're coming with me, young lady. I am going to take you to meet Margot.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, she's got to meet you.
No, I'd be imposing on her. I'd just be another tongue-tied, gushing fan.
Oh, there isn't another like you. There couldn't be. By the way, what's your name?
Eve Harrington.
Margot was in her dressing room. Lloyd, my husband, was with her. And, of course, Birdie, Margot's maid.
Morning, Karen. Margot's just been interviewed by a lady reporter from the South.
And the minute it gets printed, they're going to fire on Gettysburg all over again.
It was Fort Sumter they fired on. Where's my cold cream? Lloyd, honey, be a playwright with guts. Write me a nice, normal woman who just shoots her husband.
I find these wisecracks increasingly less funny, Margot. Aged in Wood happens to be a fine and distinguished play.
That's my loyal little woman.
Relax, kid. It's just me and my big mouth.
Well, it's just you get me so mad sometimes. Of all the women in the world with nothing to complain about.
Ain't it the truth?
Well, it is. You're talented, famous, wealthy, people waiting around for you night after night just to see you, even in the rain.
Autograph fiends, little beasts.
They're your fans, your audience.
They're nobody's audience. They never see a play or a movie, even. They're never indoors long enough.
Well, there's one indoors right now. I brought her back to see you.
You've what?
Oh, she's just outside the door.
Bertie.
Yeah?
The heave-ho.
Oh, you can't put her out, Margot. She worships you. You must have spotted her by now. She's always there.
Oh, I know. The mousy one with the trench coat and the funny hat.
Yes. Oh, come in, Eve. Margot, this is Eve Harrington.
How do you do, my dear?
Oh, brother.
Hello, Miss Channing.
My husband.
Hello, Miss Harrington.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Richards?
And this is my dear friend and companion, Miss Bertie Coonan.
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother, what?
When she gets like this, all of a sudden she's playing Hamlet's mother.
I'm sure you must have things to do in the bathroom, Bertie, dear.
If I haven't, I'll find something till you get normal.
Oh, dear Bertie.
Well, I was just telling Margot and Lloyd about how you've often seen the play.
Yes, every performance.
Well, am I then safe in assuming that you like it?
Oh, I'd like anything Miss Channing played in.
Would you really? How sweet.
Oh, and your new play is for Miss Channing, too, isn't it?
Well, how did you hear about it?
There was an item in Adam DeWitt's column. I like the title, Footsteps on the Ceiling.
Let's get back to this one. Every performance? Why?
Yes, there are other plays.
Oh, not with you in them, and not by Mr. Richards.
But you must have friends, a home, family?
No.
Oh, tell us about it, Eve.
If only I knew how I...
We'll try.
Well, it started with the play before this one.
Remembrance. Did you see it here in New York?
San Francisco, the most important night of my life until now. I found myself going the next night, and the next, and the next, and when the show went east, I went east.
Eve, why don't you start at the beginning?
Oh, it couldn't possibly interest you.
Please.
Well, I guess it started back home, Wisconsin. It was just Mom, Dad, and me, and I had to quit school and work as a secretary in a brewery. But there was a little theater group there. That's where I met Eddie. When the war came, we got married. Eddie was in the Air Force, and they sent him to the South Pacific. And when he had a leave coming, I went to San Francisco to meet him. But there was only a telegram saying Eddie was dead. I found a job, and his insurance helped, and there were theaters in San Francisco, and then one night, Margot Channing came to play in Remembrance, and, well, here I am.
Ugh, what a story. Everything but the bloodhound snapping at her rear end.
There are some human experiences, Bertie, that even in a fifth-rate vaudevillian should understand and respect. I want to apologize for Bertie.
Sorry, it's just my way of talking.
Oh, you didn't hurt my feelings, Miss Coonan.
Call me Bertie. Oh, hiya, Mr. Sampson.
Hi, Bertie. For your information, Margot, my plane takes off in 47 minutes. And how do I find you? Not ready yet and looking like a junkyard.
Thank you so much.
Bill, this is Eve Harrington.
The airlines have clocks, even if you haven't. I start shooting next week.
Bill, this...
I'm a junkyard.
Bill, this is Eve Harrington.
Oh, my wonderful junkyard. The mystery and dreams you find in a junkyard. And, oh, hello. What's your name?
Eve Harrington.
You've already met.
Huh? Where?
Right here, a minute ago. Oh, Eve, you're not going, are you?
I think I'd better. It's been, Well, I can hardly find the words to say how it's been.
No, stick around. Tell you what, we'll put Stanislavski on his plane and you and I will go somewhere and talk.
Well, if I'm not in the way.
I'll shower and dress. I won't be a minute.
Yes, Bill was going to Hollywood to direct a picture. I don't remember why Lloyd and I couldn't go to the airport with them, but I do remember that as we left, Eve started talking to Bill.
So you're going to Hollywood, Mr. Sampson?
Just for one picture. Why?
I just wondered.
Just wondered what?
Well, why you'd want to go out there. I mean, when a man's the best and most successful young director in the theater.
Oh, the theater, the theater. What book of rules says the theater exists only in New York? Listen, Junior, and learn.
Yes?
You want to know what the theater is? A flea circus. Also opera, rodeos, carnivals, ballets, Indian tribal dances, Punch and Judy, and a one-man band. Wherever there's magic and make-believe and an audience, there's theater.
I just asked a simple question.
And I shut my mouth off for nothing. Nothing personal, Junior. Margot, I'm leaving here in exactly 3 seconds.
So am I when I find my coat.
Oh, it's right where you left it.
Oh.
Any messages for Tyrone Powell, Bertie?
Ah, just give him my phone number. I'll tell him myself.
You got the key, Bertie.
I ain't forgot it yet.
We'll see you at home in an hour. Eve, where are you going?
Oh, you don't really want me tagging along.
Now, don't be silly. This way. It's quicker if we cut across the stage. Where is she, Bill? What happened to Eve?
Oh, she's at the desk picking up my tickets. She said we had so little time together.
She's quite a girl. I'd forgotten they grew that way anymore.
Yes, that lack of pretense, that strange sort of understanding.
Isn't it silly? Suddenly I've developed a protective feeling for her. A lamb loose in our big stone jungle. Bill, take care of yourself out there.
Well, I understand they've got the Indians pretty well in hand.
Don't get stuck on some glamour-puss.
I'll try.
You're a setup for some gorgeous, wide-eyed young babe.
Oh, how childish are you going to get before you quit it?
Well, I don't want to be childish. I settled for just a few years.
And cut that out right now.
Am I going to lose you, Bill? Am I?
As of this moment, you're 6 years old.
Everything's ready, Mr. Sampson.
Oh, thanks, Eve.
Here's your ticket. They want you to get right on the plane.
Oh, you've been very helpful. Good luck.
Goodbye, Mr. Sampson.
Knit me a muffler, Margot.
Kiss me, Bill. Call me when you get in.
On the hour. Hey, Junior, keep your eye on her. She's a loose lamb in the jungle.
That same night, we sent for Eve's things, her few pitiful possessions. She moved into the little guest room. Eve became my sister, lawyer, mother, friend, psychiatrist, and cop. Her quiet efficiency, her constant anticipation of my wishes drove Bertie mad. I loved it. Yes, the honeymoon was on. Early one morning, the telephone rang. I was half groggy with sleep. The operator made no sense to me at all.
You are ready with your call to Beverly Hills, California.
Where? What call?
We are ready with the call you placed for 12 midnight, California time to Mr. William Sampson in Beverly Hills. Go ahead, please.
Margot, what a wonderful surprise. What a thoughtful, ever-loving thing to do.
Oh, Bill, have I gone crazy, Bill?
You're my girl, aren't you?
That I am.
Oh, then you're crazy.
When you coming back?
In a week. Well, I'm waiting. When are you going to say it?
Oh, Bill, you know how much I do, but over a phone? Now, really, that's kid stuff.
Oh, kid stuff or not, it doesn't happen every day. If you won't say it, then you could sing it.
Sing it?
Sure, like the Western Union boys used to do.
Bill, it's your birthday.
And who remembered it? Who was there on the dot at 12 midnight?
Happy birthday, darling.
Oh, the reading could have been better. But you said it.
Hey, I get a party, don't I?
Of course. Birthday and welcome home. Who'll I ask?
It's no secret. I know all about the party. Eve wrote me.
Eve. She did?
Sure she did. She hasn't missed a week since I left. But you know all about that. You probably tell her what to write. Tell me, how is Eve, okay?
Okay.
I love you.
I'll check with Eve.
Hmm?
I love you too. Good night, darling. I thought a lot about that phone call. In the morning when Bertie came in with my breakfast.
That's a silly question to ask me.
All I said was, you don't like Eve, do you?
Do you want an argument or an answer?
I'd like an answer.
No.
Why not?
Now you want an argument.
Well, she's loyal and efficient.
Like an agent with only one client?
She thinks only of me, doesn't she?
Well, she thinks only about you anyway.
How do you mean that?
I'll tell you how. Let's see, like she was studying you, like you were a play or a book or a set of blueprints, how you walk, talk, eat, sleep.
Well, I'm sure that's very flattering, Bertie, but I'm also sure that...
Good morning.
Good morning, Eve.
I'm going downtown now, Miss Channing. Is there anything else you've thought of?
Well, there's that script that goes back to the Guild.
I've got it.
And those checks for the income tax
Right
man.
in this envelope.
It seems I can't think of a thing you haven't thought of.
Well, it is my job, Miss Channing.
Eve, by any chance, did you place a call to Bill Sampson for me for midnight California time?
Golly, I forgot to tell you.
Yes, dear. You forgot all about it.
Well, I was sure you'd want to, of course, being his birthday, and you've been so busy.
It was very thoughtful of you, Eve.
It was Mr. Sampson's birthday. I couldn't forget that. You'd never forgive me. As a matter of fact, I sent him a telegram myself.
Did you say something, Bertie?
Who said something?
Don't.
Scores of Hollywood screen stars say there's nothing like new Lux with color freshener. It's perfect for all kinds of lingerie, silks, rayons, nylons, and fine cotton. White stayed dazzling white as new, delicate colors more brilliant than before. It's no wonder makers of lingerie prefer Lux, 33-1. Why don't you get a big box of Lux tomorrow? Give your nice things that nice as new Lux look. Now, Act 2 of All About Eve.
Bill's welcome home party, birthday party. A night that would go down in history, like the Chicago Fire or the massacre of the Huguenots. Even before it started, I could smell disaster in the air. When I went downstairs, I was surprised to find that Bill had already arrived.
Well, looks like we're going to have a very fancy party.
I thought you were going to be late. How long have you been here?
Oh, just a few minutes. I ran into Eve. She seems so interested in Hollywood.
She's a girl of so many interests.
It's a pretty rare quality these days.
She's a girl of so many rare qualities.
So she seems.
So you've pointed out so often, so many qualities, so often, and so young and so fair.
Oh, I can't believe you're making this up. It's like something out of an old Clyde Fitch play.
Clyde Fitch, though you may not think so, was well before my time.
Well, I've always denied the legend that you were in Our American Cousin, the night Lincoln was shot.
I don't think that's funny.
Of course it's funny. Whipping yourself up into a jealous froth because I spent 10 minutes with a stage-struck kid.
Stage-struck kid? She's a young lady of qualities. And I'll have you know I'm fed up with both the young lady and her qualities, studying me as if I were a play or a blueprint. You know, there are particular things, aspects of my life that I would like to maintain sole and exclusive rights and privileges to.
For what?
Well, for instance, you.
Oh, darling, this is my cue to take you in my arms and reassure you. But I'm not going to do it. I'm too mad.
Guilty.
Mad. Darling, there are certain characteristics for which you are famous on stage and off. I love you for some of them and in spite of the others.
The part of your equipment for getting along is what laughingly called our environment. You've got to keep your teeth sharp, all right, but do not sharpen them on me or on Eve.
What about her teeth? What about her fangs?
Oh, she hasn't cut them yet, and you know it. Eve Harrington has never indicated anything to me but her adoration for you and her happiness at our being in love.
Cut. Print it. What happens in the next reel? Do I get dragged off screaming to the snake pit?
Excuse me, Miss Channing.
Oh, yes, Eve.
The hors d'oeuvres are here. Is there anything else I can do?
Yes, thank you. I'd like a martini. Very dry and very double.
Hello, everyone. We let ourselves in like common thieves.
You and Karen can come in and take whatever you want, except the gin, of course.
Hi, Lloyd. Karen?
May I take your coats?
Oh, don't bother. I can put it away myself.
Please.
Well, thank you, Eve.
I like that girl. The quality of quiet graciousness.
Among so many quiet qualities.
Margot, nothing you've ever done has made me so happy as you're taking Eve in.
I'm so happy you're happy.
The general atmosphere is very Macbethish. What is about to happen?
What is he talking about?
Macbeth.
We know you. We've seen you like this before. Tell me, is it over or just beginning?
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
And it was. As the night plowed on, Margot managed to carve up Bill's birthday cake, several producers, the piano player, and an innocent fern that just happened to be in Margot's line of unfriendly fire. Finally, I had had enough and told Lloyd it was time, and I told him it was time to go, and he told Margot.
Well, I've been looking for you, Margot. Karen and I have to run along. It's been a swell party.
Where's Karen, Lloyd? Upstairs?
Yes, getting her coat, I think.
How's the new play coming along?
Footsteps on the ceiling? All right, I guess.
And the girl character, Cora, is she still 20?
20-ish. It's not important.
Don't you think it's about time it became important?
Margot, you haven't got any age.
Margot Channing is ageless. Spoken like a press agent, Lloyd. I'm not 20-ish. I'm not 30-ish. 3 months ago, I was 40 years old. 44. Oh, that slipped out. I hadn't quite made up my mind to admit it.
You've had another fight with Bill, am I right?
Bill's 32. He looks 32. He looked at 5 years ago, and he'll look at 20 years from now. I hate men. Don't worry, Lloyd. I'll play your play. I'll wear rompers and come in rolling a hoop if you like. Now get out of here and go find your wife.
It's so nice of you, Eve, to come up with me.
I just wanted to make sure you found your coat, Mrs. Richards.
Well, tell me, Eve, how are things going? Are you happy?
Oh, there should be another word for happiness. Being here with Miss Channing, she's just so wonderful, and she's done so much for me.
Well, you've done your share, too. Good night.
Oh, Mrs. Richards.
Karen.
Karen, isn't it awful? I'm about to ask you for another favor after all you've done already.
Oh, that's nonsense.
Well, it's just that, Miss Channing's affairs are in such good shape, and now her understudy's going to have a baby, and they'd have to replace her.
Oh, you would like to be Margot's understudy.
Oh, I don't let myself think about it even. But I do know the part so well and every bit of the staging. But suppose I had to go on one night to an audience that came to see Margot Channing. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly.
I wouldn't worry about that. Margot just doesn't miss performances. If she can walk, crawl, or roll, she plays.
The show must go on?
No, dear. Margot must go on. You know, as a matter of fact, I see no reason why you shouldn't be her understudy.
Do you think Miss Channing would approve?
Oh, I think she'd cheer.
But Mr. Richards and Mr. Sampson?
Stop worrying. They'll do as they're told.
Oh, I seem to be forever thanking you for something, don't I? Good night, Karen.
Good night, dear. So Eve became Margot's understudy. Naturally, I assumed that Margot knew about it and approved. One afternoon, Margot went to the theater. Someone else was leaving the cast, and Margot had consented to help with the audition. A friend of Addison DeWitt's, a Miss Caswell, was trying out for the part.
Margot, how nice to see you.
Why aren't you in the theater, Addison, at the side of your protege, lending her moral support?
Oh, but I did. The audition, however, is over.
Over? It can't be. I've come here to read with Miss Caswell.
Well, the audition was called for 2:30. It is now 4.
Is it really? Who read with Miss Caswell? Bill? Lloyd? Well, who then?
Naturally enough, your understudy.
I consider it highly unnatural for a girl in an advanced stage of pregnancy to...
I refer to you, your new and unpregnant understudy, Miss Eve Harrington.
Eve? My understudy?
Well, didn't you know?
Oh, of course I knew.
Just slipped your mind.
How was Miss Caswell?
Frankly, I don't remember.
Just slipped your mind.
Completely. Nor could anyone else tell you how Miss Caswell read, or whether Miss Caswell read or wrote a pogo stick.
Was she that bad?
Margot, as you know, I've lived in the theater as a Trappist monk lives in the faith. And once in a great while experienced that moment of revelation for which all true believers wait and pray. You were one. Eve Harrington is another.
I take it she read well.
It wasn't a reading. It was something made of fire and music. Brilliant, vivid, unforgettable.
How nice.
And time shall be what you are.
A mass of fire and music, that's me. An old kazoo and some sparklers. Tell me, was Bill swept away too? Or were you too full of revelation to notice?
Bill didn't say, but Lloyd was beside himself. He listened to his play as if somebody else had written it. He said it sounded so fresh, so new, so full of meaning.
How nice for Lloyd. How nice for Eve. How nice for everybody.
Eve was incredibly modest. She insisted that Lloyd felt as he did, only because she read the lines exactly as he had written them.
The implication being that I have not been reading them as written.
To the best of my recollection, neither your name nor your performance entered the conversation. May I give you a lift somewhere?
No. No, thank you, Addison. I'll just run on in so they'll know I did come after all. I must start wearing a watch. Oh, terribly sorry. I'm late. Lunch went long and I couldn't find a cab. Well, shall we start? Where's Miss Caswell? Hello, Bill. Hello, Lloyd. Hello, Eve.
Hello, Miss Channing.
It's all over, Margot.
What's all over?
The audition. Eve read with Miss Caswell.
Eve? How enchanting. Whatever did you get the idea of letting Eve read?
Well, she's your understudy.
Eve, my understudy? Why, I had no idea.
I thought you knew. She was put on over a week ago.
Miss Channing, I can tell you how glad I am that you arrived so late.
Really, Eve? Why?
Well, if you'd been here to begin with, I never would have dared to read at all. I couldn't have.
Oh, what a pity. All that fire and music going to waste.
What fire and music?
You wouldn't understand.
I was dreadful, Miss Channing, believe me.
Oh, I'm sure you underestimate yourself, Eve. You always do.
You'd have been proud of her, Margot. Eve was a revelation.
To you too, Lloyd.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that, among other things. It must have been a revelation to have your 24-year-old character played by a 24-year-old actress. Also, it must have sounded so new and fresh to you, so exciting to have your lines read to you just as you wrote them.
Addison, You've been talking to Addison.
So full of meaning, fire and music.
You've been talking to that venomous fishwife, Addison DeWitt.
In this case, apparently as trustworthy as the World Almanac.
You knew when you came in that the audition was over, that Eve was your understudy, playing that childish game of cat and mouse.
No mouse. Never mouse. If anything, rat.
You have a genius for making a barroom brawl out of a perfectly innocent misunderstanding at most.
Perfectly innocent. Men have been hanged for less. I'm lied to, attacked behind my back, accused of reading your silly dialogue inaccurately, as if it were the holy gospel.
I never said it was.
Then you listened as if someone else had written your play. Whom did you have in mind? Arthur Miller? Beaumont and Fletcher?
What makes you think Arthur Miller would stand for the nonsense that I take from you? You'd better stick to Beaumont and Fletcher. They've been dead for 300 years.
All playwrights should be dead for 300 years.
Ha! That would solve none of their problems. Because actresses never die. The stars never die. They never change.
You can change this star anytime you want. For a new, fresh, exciting, fully equipped, with fire and music anytime you want, starting with tonight's performance.
Just when exactly does an actress decide they are her words that she's saying and her thoughts she's expressing?
Usually at the point when she has to rewrite and rethink them to keep the audience from leaving the theater.
It's about time the piano realized that it has not written the concerto.
And you, Bill? I take it, are the Paderewski who plays his concerto on me, the piano? Oh, where is Princess Fire and Music?
Who?
The Kid Jr.
Gone.
I must have frightened her away.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes you frighten me.
I'm nothing but a body and a voice, no mind.
What a body, what a voice. Now calm down. The gong rang, the fight's over.
I will not calm down,
Don't calm down.
and I will not be plotted against.
Oh, here we go.
Such nonsense. Been my understudy for over a week without my knowing. Shows up for an audition when everyone knew I'd be there. And gives a performance. Out of nowhere, gives a performance.
Oh, you've been all through that with Lloyd.
Full of fire and music and whatnot. Carefully rehearsed, I have no doubt. Full of those Bill Sampson touches.
I didn't even know Eve Harrington was your understudy until past this afternoon.
Tell that to Dr. Freud, along with the rest of it.
No, I'll tell it to you. For the last time, I'll tell it to you. I love you. You're beautiful and an intelligent woman.
A body with a voice.
And a great actress. You have every reason for happiness.
Except happiness.
Every reason, but due to some strange, uncontrollable, unconscious drive, you permit the slightest action of a kid.
Kid?
Like Eve to turn you into a hysterical, screaming harpy. Now, once and for all, stop it.
It's obvious you're not a woman.
Well, I've been aware of that for some time.
Well, I am.
I'll say. Now, come on, Margot. Let's get out of here. I'll buy you a drink.
I'll admit I may have seen better days, but I'm still not to be had for the price of a cocktail, like a salted peanut.
Margot, let's make peace.
The terms are too high. Unconditional surrender.
Just being happy? Just stopping all this nonsense about Eve? About Eve and me?
It's not nonsense. I wish it were.
I told you before, this was going to be my last try, and I meant it. I can't think of anything else to do. I wish I could. Goodbye, Margot.
Bill, where are you going? To find Eve?
That makes this whole thing believable.
Bill! Oh, Bill!
Well, frankly, Lloyd, I don't understand a word you're saying.
Not only was Margot 2 hours late, but that childish, heavy-handed routine about not knowing he was her understudy.
It's just possible she didn't know.
Of course she knew. Addison told her. Now, somebody's got to stop Margot. Who's going to do it? Who's going to give her that boot in the rear she needs and deserves?
Oh,
Oh, it's going to be a cozy weekend.
What is?
We're driving to the country tomorrow night. Margot, you, and I.
Well, we've spent weekends before with nobody talking. Just be sure to lock up all the blunt instruments and the throwable objects.
Lloyd was right, of course, about Margot. That boot coming to her, oh, heaven knows she had one coming. But how to do it? And then it came to me, my big idea. After all, it was no more than a harmless joke that Margot herself would find funny and should be the first to enjoy. No reason why she shouldn't be told about it in time. My big idea required a telephone call. Hello, would you call Miss Eve Harrington to the phone, please? It was a cold weekend we spent in the country, and somehow we staggered through it. Late Monday afternoon, my big idea went into action. Its purpose was to make Margot miss her performance so that Eve would have to take her place. All I did was drain the gas tank of her car. Well, my timing was perfect. Margot missed her train, and we sat there in the highway, the two of us, while Lloyd, cursing softly, went down the road to find gasoline.
Cigarette, Karen?
No thanks, dear.
I haven't been very pleasant this weekend.
Well, we've all been a bit tense lately.
More than any two people I know, I don't want you and Lloyd to be angry with me.
Well, how could we be? You're Margot, just Margot.
And what is that? Besides something spelled out in light bulbs. I mean, something called a temperament, which consists mostly of swooping about on a broomstick, screaming at the top of my voice. Infants behave the way I do, you know, when they feel unwanted or insecure or unloved.
Well, what about Bill? He's in love with you.
More than anything in this world, I love Bill. I want him to love me, but me, not Margot Channing. And if I can't tell them apart, how can he? And Karen, what about Eve? I've acted pretty disgracefully toward her, too.
Well, yes.
At best, let's say I've been oversensitive to the fact that she's so young, so feminine and helpless, to so many things I want to be for Bill.
Margot, I want you to know how sorry I am about this.
About what?
Getting stuck like this in the car. I can't tell you how sorry I am.
Don't give it another thought. One of Destiny's merry pranks. After all, you didn't personally drain the gasoline out of the tank.
What?
I said, you didn't personally drain the gasoline out of the tank.
This is Addison DeWitt. It is now my turn to tell you all about Eve. That night, with Margot Channing marooned in the country, Eve Harrington took her place on the stage. Her performance was magnificent. But one thing puzzled me. Why was I invited to that particular performance? Coincidence? I went backstage afterwards. Her dressing room was closed. But I overheard a rather interesting conversation between Bill, Sampson, and Eve.
Oh, you could be very proud of yourself, Eve. That was a wonderful job you did tonight. I'll admit I had my doubts.
Oh, you shouldn't have had any doubts.
You're right. With work and patience, you'll be a good actress if that's what you want to be.
Is that what you want me to be?
I'm talking about you and what you want.
So am I.
What have I got to do with it?
everything.
Oh, the names I've been called, but never Svengali. Good night.
Oh, don't run away, Bill.
From what would I be running?
You're always after the truth on the stage. What about off?
I'm all for it.
Well, then face it. I have, ever since that first night, here in this dressing room.
When I told you what every young actress should know?
When you told me that whatever I became, it would be because of you and for you.
Oh, you're quite a girl.
You think?
I'm in love with Margot, haven't you heard?
You hear all kinds of things.
I'm only human, rumors to the contrary. And I'm as curious as the next man.
Well, then find out.
Only thing, what I go after, I want to go after. I don't want it to come to me. Don't cry. Just score it as an incomplete forward pass.
I waited a reasonable amount of time after Bill left for her tears to dry, and then I too had a chat with Eve. I wanted to write a column about her, and there were many questions to ask.
So kind of you to stop by, Mr. DeWitt. I'm so glad you liked me tonight. But it's still Miss Channing's performance. I'm just a carbon copy you get when you can't find the original.
I think it's time to shed some of your modesty, Miss Harrington.
Oh, one pretty good performance by an understudy. I'll be forgotten tomorrow.
It needn't be.
Why not? I'm less than nobody.
I am somebody.
Oh, you certainly are.
After you change, we can have supper.
Oh, I'd love to. Or should I pretend I'm busy?
Let's have a minimum amount of pretending, shall we? I should want to do a column about you.
Oh, I'm not enough for a paragraph.
Oh, perhaps more than one. There's so much I want to ask, you know. I've only heard your story in bits and pieces. Your home in Wisconsin, your tragic marriage, your fanatical attachment to Margot. Well, it started in San Francisco, didn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Which theater was it in San Francisco? Was it the Schubert?
Oh, yes, the Schubert.
A fine old theater, the Schubert. And by the way, what was your husband's name?
Eddie.
Eddie what?
Oh, really, Mr. DeWitt, if I'm ever going to change, I'll just be a moment.
Where would you like to go, Eve? We must make this a special night.
You take charge.
Yes, I believe I will.
Stop saying you can't believe it, Karen. It's right here in print, isn't it? By Addison DeWitt. Listen to this. Miss Harrington had much to tell about the lamentable practices in our theater of permitting mature actresses to continue playing roles requiring a youth and vigor of which they retain but a dim memory.
I still can't believe that Eve would ever say...
It gets better. About the understandable reluctance on the part of our entrenched first ladies of the stage to encourage younger actresses, about Miss Harrington's own long, unsupported struggle for opportunity.
Eve couldn't have said anything like that.
What gets me is how all those papers happened to catch that particular performance.
Well, Lloyd says it's a publicity release.
The little witch must have had Indian runners out snatching critics wherever they hole up. Well, she won't get away with it. Nor will Addison DeWitt and his poison pen. I will personally...
I came as soon as I read that piece of filth.
Oh, Bill.
I ran all the way.
Thank heavens you're here.
Oh, Bill.
Oh, Bill's here, baby. Everything's all right now.
Oh, darling.
Well, I guess at this point I'm what the French call de trop.
Oh, maybe just a little around the edges.
That night, Eve and I were having supper at the Stork Club, when in walked Margot, Bill, Lloyd, and Karen. They seemed unusually happy and gay.
Yes, simply this. Margot and I are getting married.
Glory, hallelujah.
Margot, when? When are you going to do it?
Oh, we meet at City Hall tomorrow at 10.
City Hall? That's for prize fighters and reporters.
Oh, it's only for the license. There's a 3-day wait for blood tests.
I'll marry you if it turns out you have no blood at all.
Well, what are you going to wear?
Something simple. A fur coat over a nightgown.
The point is, we want you two beside us as our nearest and dearest friends.
Excuse me, Mrs. Richards. This note is for you. Miss Harrington sent it.
Miss Harrington? Here, Margot, you read it.
Please forgive me for butting in, but it's most important that I speak with you. Please, it's underlined. Meet me in the ladies' room, Eve.
Well, I understand she's now the understudy in there, too.
Maybe Eve just wants to apologize.
But what could she say?
Go on, find out.
Karen, in all the years of our friendship, I've never let you go to the ladies' room alone. But now I must. Oh, I'm busting to know what goes on in that feverish little brain waiting in there.
Well, all right.
I was wondering if you'd come at all. I wanted to talk to you about Mr. DeWitt's column.
Do you expect me to believe you didn't say any of those things, that they were all Addison's?
All I know is I found myself trying to answer his questions. Suddenly I wasn't saying what I mean, but what he means. I just wanted you to know the responsibility's mine and the disgrace.
Oh, let's not get overly dramatic.
Well, you really have a low opinion of me, don't you? Then you'll be glad to know I've been told off all over town.
Well, don't worry, Eve. After all, you still have a powerful friend in Addison DeWitt.
Oh, he's not my friend. You were my friends. I'll never get over it. Never.
Oh, yes, you will. You're very young and very talented, and, well, believe it or not, if there's anything I can do to...
Yes, there is something.
I think I know.
Something most important you can do.
You want to play the lead in Lloyd's new play. You want me to tell Lloyd that he should let you play it.
If you told him so, he'd give me the part. He said he would.
After all you've said? Don't you know that part was written for Margot?
Could have been 15 years ago. It's my part now. You've got to tell Lloyd it's for me.
I don't think there's anything in the world that would make me do that.
Addison wants me to play.
Over my dead body.
That won't be necessary. You see, Addison knows just how Margot happened to miss that particular performance. Yeah, you better sit down. You look a little wobbly. If I play Cora, Addison will never tell what happened. And I'm happy to do something for you at long last. Your friendship with Margot, your deep, close friendship. What would happen to it, do you think, if she knew the cheap trick you played on her for my benefit? Oh, yes, it would be so much easier for everyone if I were to play Cora. It's so much better theater, too.
A part in a play? You would do all of this for a part in a play?
Oh, I'd do much more for a part that good. Excuse me, Karen. Addison's waiting for me.
Only coffee, Eve. I'm not surprised after all that humble pie.
Oh, nothing of the kind. Karen and I had a nice talk.
Including a casual reference to the part of Cora and your hopes of playing it.
I discussed it very openly.
Karen mentioned, of course, that Margot expects to play the part.
Well, oddly enough, she didn't say a word about Margot.
Do you know, Eve, sometimes I think you keep things from me.
I don't think that's funny.
It wasn't meant to be.
I confide in you and rely on you more than anyone I've ever known. To say a thing like that now, without any reason, when I need you more than ever.
I hope you mean that, Eve. I intend to hold you to it. We have a great deal in common, it seems to me.
Well, what happened?
Oh, nothing much. She apologized.
Very classy stuff. Lots of technique. Groom,
Huh?
may I have a wedding present?
Well, what would you like? Texas?
I want everybody to shut up about Eve. That's all I want. Do you know why I'm so happy? Because I forgive Eve. I forgive Eve because she's left good behind. The four of us here together. And Lloyd, I don't want to play Cora.
What?
Now, wait a minute, Karen. You're always so touchy about his plays. It isn't the part, it's a great part, but not for me anymore. Not a four-square, upright, downright, forthright, married lady.
What's your being married got to do with it?
It means I finally got a life to live. I don't have to play parts I'm too old for, just because I've nothing to do with my nights. I'll make it up to you, believe me. I'll tour a year with this one, anything. Only you do understand, don't you, Lloyd?
What's so funny?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing?
Everything. Everything's so funny.
In due time, they were wed, Margot and Bill. Also, rehearsal started for the new play starring Eve Harrington. Finally, the play was ready for its opening. That afternoon, I saw Eve in her dressing room.
Isn't it strange, Addison? I thought I'd be panic-stricken. Instead, I can't wait for tonight to come. It'll bring me everything I've ever wanted. The end of an old road and the beginning of a new one.
Oh, all paved with diamonds and gold.
You know me better than that.
Paved with what then?
Stars. Oh, listen, Addison, there'll be a party here tonight. You'll come, won't you? We're having everyone up after the performance.
Where?
Lloyd and I.
I find it odd that Karen isn't here for the opening, don't you?
Addison, just a few minutes ago, I said this would be a night to remember. I didn't mean just the theater.
What else?
Lloyd Richards. He's going to leave Karen. We're going to be married.
Oh, so that's it. Lloyd. Still just the theater after all.
Oh, nothing of the kind. Lloyd loves me. I love him.
I know nothing about Lloyd and his loves, but I do know you.
Oh, I'm in love with Lloyd. Addison, won't it be just perfect? Lloyd and I, there's no telling how far we can go. He'll write great plays for me, and I'll make them great. You're the only one I've told, the only one who knows except Lloyd and me.
And Karen.
Oh, she doesn't know.
She knows enough not to be here.
But not all of it. Not that Lloyd and I are going to be married. Well, say something, anything. Congratulations, good work, Eve.
What do you take me for? Is it possible, even conceivable, that you've confused me for the gang of backward children you played tricks on? That you have the same contempt for me that you have for them?
Oh, I'm sure you mean something by that, Addison, but I don't know what.
Look closely, Eve. It's time that you did. I am Addison DeWitt. I am nobody's fool, least of all yours.
I never intended you to be.
Oh, yes, you did. You still do.
Oh, I still don't get what you're getting at.
You know as well as I do that while Lloyd may leave Karen, he will not leave Karen for you.
What do you mean by that?
More plainly and more distinctly, you will not marry Lloyd Richards, or anyone else for that matter, because I will not permit it.
Will not permit it? That sounds medieval.
Frankly, I had hoped that you would somehow have taken it for granted that you and I...
You and I?
Remember, as long as you live, never to laugh at me. Never at me. To begin with, your name is not Eve Harrington. It is Gertrude Skolensky.
Oh, get out.
It's true you worked in a brewery, but life was not as dull as you pictured it. until your boss's wife had you followed by detectives.
She never proved anything, not a thing.
But the $500 you got to get out of town brought you straight to New York, didn't it?
Oh, she was a liar, a liar.
There's no Eddie, no pilot, and you've never been married. San Francisco has no Schubert Theater. You've never been to San Francisco. That was a stupid lie.
Well, I had to get in. To meet Margot, I had to say something and make her like me.
She did like you. She helped and trusted you. But you paid her back by trying to take Bill away.
That's not true.
After you failed, you used my name and my column to blackmail Karen into getting the part of Cora. And you lied to me about it.
No.
You're an improbable person, Eve. And so am I. We have that in common. We deserve each other. Are you listening to me, Eve?
Yes, Addison.
And you realize, you agree, how completely you belong to me.
Yes, Addison.
Take your nap now. And good luck for tonight.
No, I won't go on tonight. I couldn't. Not possibly. I couldn't go on.
Couldn't go on? You'll give the performance of your life. And she gave the performance of her life. It was a night to remember, that night. And that is why she is on the dais of the Sarah Siddons Awards this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I regard this great honor not so much as an award for what I have achieved, but as a standard to hold against what I have yet to accomplish. I regard it as bestowed upon me only in part. The larger share belongs to my friends in the theater. How can I repay the many who have given me the help, guidance, and advice that makes this the happiest night of my life? Although I am going to Hollywood next week to make a film, don't think for a moment that I'm leaving you. My heart is here in the theater. I'll be back to claim it, and soon. Congratulations, Eve. Oh, thank you, Karen.
Nice speech, Eve. But I wouldn't worry too much about your heart. You can always put that award where your heart ought to be.
Mr. DeWitt?
Miss Caswell, how nice to see you again.
Oh, isn't she wonderful, Mr. DeWitt?
There's no one like Eve, Miss Caswell. No one in the world. Tell me, Miss Caswell, do you want someday to have an award like that of your own?
Oh, more than anything else in the whole world.
Then you must ask Eve Harrington how to get one. Miss Harrington knows all about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Rabinowitz and Eveline Hoffman, and at the piano, Mark Hochberg. And kudos to all of the inhabitants of the light booth. Thank you so much.